this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, click the subscribe and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. I am also an Amazon affiliate and a Walmart affiliate, so I'm completely checked out and safe to click on any of my links in my video. All the descriptions of everything I use, all the supplies, all the measurements are in the description of my video. There's a whole bunch of information there, so you can check it out. So today, what we're going to be doing is a mystery card challenge. And why is it a mystery card challenge? Is because I'm going to give you some measurements and you're going to make a card without seeing it, unless you continue with the video and then you'll see it. Anyway, it's up to you. So there are no rules, but there are a couple of rules. Anyway, no rules, but no rules. Yeah, there are rules. You can add anything to this, just don't subtract. So adding good, subtracting bad. So this will be in the description of my video on YouTube, also on my website, joyofcards.com. If you want to go ahead and stop the video now, look at all the dimensions, and then pop back and look at the card, that'd be great. But if you don't want to do that, we're going to start with a card base. You're going to use cardstock. You're going to cut it 4 1/4 by 11. You're going to score it at 1 7/8 and 7 3/8. This is a landscape card, not a portrait. Okay, the front of the card, you're going to use designer series paper. You're going to cut 3 pieces the same size, 1 5/8 by 4. You're going to get some coordinating cardstock to that DS paper, so we want everything to match. And you're going to cut that with a rectangle stitch die. Now, the measurement on that die, you know, is 3 7/8 by 1 7/8, but it's basically the largest horizontal stitch die. So that's this one. And then on a vanilla or white, based on, you know, what your DS paper is, you're going to use the second largest rectangle stitch die, which happens to be 3 3/8 by 1 3/8. It's the second largest one. So grab these two. And then we're also going to be using stylish shapes. And stylish shapes, you're going to be using the second and third largest shape. The larger one you're going to be using in coordinating cardstock to that DS paper, and the smaller one you're going to be using with DS paper. And then the middle, the inside, is just very basic. Go ahead and just cut a piece of 5 1/2 by 4 3/4 in the vanilla or white, and then you can use anything behind it. So if you want to do your card, stop the video now, do your card, and then come back, because I'm going to show you what I came with. So 3, 2, 1. If you want to stop now, because I'm starting. So I got this as a card challenge in my big demonstrator group. I'm part of 50 other demonstrators, most of which are hobbyists. A hobbyist is somebody who's become a demonstrator and just maintains their minimum, and they get all the discounts and they don't have to do card classes and stuff like that. But a lot of us are really into it. I'm mainly just a YouTuber. So I got these instructions, and boy, it's interesting how different brains can work. And maybe I skim over stuff, or I don't know what I did, but I want to show you the card that I came up with. So in my brain, these instructions said this. Now, when I was on my meeting with the other demonstrators, because we do an online meeting, and so it's very awesome. So we all kind of came up with different things. I went this direction, and so I used the in-color paper. So the in-color paper this year is really, really pretty. So I used in-color paper. I also used Starry Sky. And I just figured this was, you know, a handle. I don't know why. And then I opened it. This piece that was part of the instructions, I omitted. I actually changed a few things. In fact, one of the things I changed is this is actually the third largest rectangle stitched frame. So if you're looking at the rectangle stitched frames, it was requesting the largest one and like the third largest one. Well, I don't like it that way, and I'll show you why when I redid them a couple of times. I also didn't like the fact that it kind of kept open, so I put magnets underneath my cardstock here, just the littlest, teeniest, tiniest little magnets here. And these are also in a Amazon link in my video. So if you pull up the description and the show more and everything, these will pop up with an Amazon link. And it's actually a way to help my small business, because if you even look at it and you don't buy anything, it kind of knows who I am for about 24 hours and I get a little credit. But anyway, so my card closes completely. So it's awesome. So that was my first one. And then I thought, you know, I could make another one. So I took it to this. So this is that brush stroke paper. I don't know if you can tell, it's absolutely beautiful in person, and I just love that paper. And then I also took my Give It a Whirl, and I took the large heart and the smaller heart and cut these out and put them on like that, and then used the embellishments of solid faceted gems and just these dark blue ones, and I took the real red rhinestones because I love those things, and they continued them in the new catalog, which is awesome. But I kept that handle on because I was still doing my thing. Oh, and then I put some on the inside, and then this one is just, I took this die and cut it out and then cut out the middle. So I just did that. So, and of course I have the little teeny magnets right under this paper here and this on the end. So they're right here in the corners. So they're nowhere that you could like accidentally write over it. So that wasn't my thought. But when I got together with the group, because I did it beforehand just to see how far off I was, because there were only so many ways of doing this card. You know, you have these 3 panels and there's only one direction. So apparently this is what it's supposed to look like. Here's another version, and I use the Cup of Tea DS paper, and which I absolutely think is beautiful. And look at this, they tuck it under like so, and it's like, boy, I was off, wasn't I? And we're going to make this card in a minute, and I also made it so this big tag also kind of goes under this big circle here. So hang tight, we are going to make this card. So I thought, boy, you know, I think it's either way. Now, when you do it this way, you don't need to necessarily use magnets, even though I could, because it does kind of pop open a little bit, and I would put those little magnets underneath. But I also, in this card, rather than this card, this one's rather simple on the inside, where this one, I finished it. So in the description of my video, I'll give you the measurements for this as well. So I just thought that was funny how these are completely different. And let's see the card we're gonna make, which is right here. Just, I mean, these are 4 different cards. And by the way, I give away my demo cards. If you're a first-time subscriber, like, subscribe, and you have to put in the comments that you want to win the demo card, because I have thousands of subscribers. I don't know who's new and not, really. Except for the people that I've sent a card, I do kind of track them. But just so I don't send them it twice. But just put in there, you want to win the demo card with your email. I can't communicate with you without your email, unless you happen to be looking at your YouTube all the time and notice I replied and said, hey, I need your address. So let's go ahead and make this card. So we're going to start with the card base, and it says cardstock, which is this, 4 1/4 by 11. So I pre-cut that, and then we're going to score at 1 7/8 and 7 3/8. So 1 7/8 is 2 ticks below 2. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's an 1/8 of an inch below 2. So you score there, and then we're doing 7 3/8. So 1, 2, 3, right there, and score just like that. So now I'm going to make sure when I fold this, because I noticed every once in a while when I was doing this that it would somehow get kind of crooked when I scored it. So match it up first and then take your bone folder, because you can kind of manipulate it, hold it in the middle and score it down hard like that, just so they meet perfectly, because if you don't, you can get it a little off. And of course I also score the back just like so. Hey, I'm going to give you a quick tip on mystery cards. When I did this, I took these instructions and I cut it all out in white and I labeled it. So I knew that this was going to be in cardstock, this was going to be in DS. Here's those 3 pieces that they had you cut out, and here's the 2 rectangle stitched frames. And then I kind of sat there and I played with it, and then I kind of figured out what I was going to do. So this is a good way to do a mystery card, is cut everything in white and kind of match it up. But here we've got our card base, and then I've got my 3 pieces of DS paper, 1 5/8 by 4. Now I'm using something with a pattern, a very heavy pattern, and when I was cutting it, I had to make sure that I was going to line up these pieces the way they were cut. So if you've got something with a pattern, before you lay it down on your cardstock here, make sure that the pattern all matches, because it'll look a lot better. Now I'm going to do it with the short flap on the right and the bigger one on the left. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my silicone craft sheet, which keeps my glass clean here. I love my glass. It's also a light board, and it also has a big mat if I wanted to do a bunch of cutting. So this is awesome. This is in my Amazon links in the description of my video. Also, those magnets you see on my videos, those are also on an Amazon link. There's one particular size I like. I know they're a little bigger, and I cut them down. So, and also you might want to use a heavy duty cutter if you're going to be cutting down magnets. Don't use your Stampin' Up! One. That's your precious one for cardstock and everything, so you don't mess it up. Also, make sure that you've got them, of course, at the right level here. So take a extra second and make sure you've got that right. And then I've got this one right here, like so. Now I'm going to hop you into the middle here really quick. And on the inside of the card, all it says is white or vanilla 3.5 by 4 3/4, which is the white right here. I went ahead and put it on some corresponding cardstock, and then I'm going to snail it on into the middle of your card. And you can choose whether or not you want to do the sides. I did it on my first 2 cards. I'm not going to do it on this one. And then I forgot to tell you that the DS paper I'm using is Hues of Happiness. And when you look at the Hues and Happiness, which is actually going to be, I think, my next video, so stay tuned for that, you'll notice that the DS paper coordinates with the dies. So this die here goes on this one, this matches up as well. So I picked one of the dies and I cut from the DS paper. And by the way, here's those magnets that I use for all my stuff. I take the original packaging and just fold the envelope over and just slide them in like that. So I die cut both the flower and the leaves, because there's a die for the leaf as well. And then I'm just going to match it up and put the rose right here. And then take those leaves and I'm just going to stick them right under here. And it makes for a nice little pretty inside. So I'm just going to lift this up, and just like that, and your inside is done. Now let's get to the front again. So now the next piece is the coordinating cardstock cut in the largest rectangle stitch frame that goes horizontal. And then in white or vanilla, you cut the second largest one in the rectangle stitched frame. And then onto the circles, you're going to take another coordinating cardstock. Here's another little tip for you. Pick 3 colors. That's why I've got Melon Mambo, Daffodil, and that third color is the blue. That's what I made with the embellishments here. I did do a third color on this one, which gives that that extra little, you know, pull from the paper here, but I didn't do it in this one here. I just kind of kept it with the two colors, but I threw that blue in to just kind of, you know, pull it all together. So with the stylish stitched frames, I use the second in the coordinating cardstock and the third in DS, and I just put it right over the particular rows that I liked. I also looked on the paper and chose which ones I was going to cut that made this group of three, so they coordinated really nicely. Before we start any further, we're going to start with the sentiment and using Go-To Greetings. This one's great because you got 3 sentiments in 3 different sizes, so you can get the perfect size for what you're doing here. And I'm going to stamp the basic white, of course, in Melon Mambo, just like the paper. Now I've taken all of these and I've turned them over and put on the dimensionals. I want to point out, if you look at the largest circle here upside down, I put all the dimensionals in the middle and I've avoided the outside because it has to go under. Also, the larger rectangle stitch frame, I also did the same thing. I kind of left this blank because it's got to tuck under. So they've all got dimensionals. I'm going to go ahead and turn them over. I'm using my silicone craft sheet because I know if I turn it over with dimensionals, it's not going to stick. So that's really cool. So I'm going to put this on like that. And then I'm going to take this. I'm going to remember that those dimensionals aren't on that side. And I'm going to put this down like so. And then look at your card and see where you want to put it. Probably good about maybe 3/4 of an inch on the right. Okay, and then I'm going to line this up so it fits right under and even under the white a bit, because I want to grab a little bit of that white. So I'm going to pull it down, bring it in just like so, so it tucks. After you made sure you pulled it out, I actually did make a mistake right here. I like to point out my mistakes. Hey, I make mistakes. Only put dimensionals like from the middle to the right, because you don't want any dimensionals here. And I had a couple of dimensionals here and it's like, Noreen, what'd you do? So it's got to make sure this opens so it tucks underneath. And then the last part is fun part where you put on all the little doohickeys. So a solid faceted gems is really pretty because it's got these nice dark, is it night and navy? It's probably starry sky. It's got to be. This is all the new ink colors, so it's starry sky. And just put it there. And that's the card. So I would love to see how your cards turned out. If you can email me at noreen@joyacards.com and you can show me pictures of your cards, that'd be awesome. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Thanks. Bye.